Greetings, my fellow remote silent thinkers, L3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful, swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Monday, September 4th, 2017. It's Labor Day to be exact. And I am at CG's Java Lounge, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue, 1 along the New River, Fort Lauderdale, southwest section of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. Yes, you hear a dog barking too. That's okay because, hey, this is a pet-friendly facility. Mom and pop places I like. Avoid the corporate ones, and you know what I'm talking about. Yes, and I was informed yesterday that co-founder, Steely Dan co-founder Walter Beck passed at 67. And of course, Molly Hatchet founding member Dave Brubeck passes at 66. And like I said, I don't really talk about these particular bands in general or music, only like when I want to be very sincere. However, you can say they love what they've done. They perform great songs. It doesn't matter what genre it is. Proved to be a test of time for Walter Beck from Steely Dan. The fusion, jazz, rock sound that kept going for a very long time. And of course, David Brubeck from southern rock band Molly Hatchet from Jacksonville left a lot of great songs as well. And what's interesting too with Molly Hatchet, a lot of their album covers were done by a fantastic artist named Frank Frazetta. That's what really attracted myself when I was in my younger years, over 30 some odd years ago. But one thing for sure, they left some great songs, and always got to pay homage to those individuals. They proved to be a test of time. And may their souls remain forever free, and let their legacies live on. And of course, interesting things are happening as usual. The brothers and sisters out in Texas, there's some mixed views of what's going on. You have the pros and the cons, as usual. People try to help out and others trying to intervene. We're watching videos of that and getting some reports from the Cajun Navy. Hey, the whole thing is make it happen. And I know looters are out there, which is very unacceptable, especially when you go into people's homes. Bunch of cowardly attributes. It's like saying, let's beat someone when they're down. It always will bite you in the rear when least expect it, if you're going to fulfill that. And we, of course, people are paying attention to Irma. Looks like they're going a little bit more track of the west, according to BFP Earthwatch, which has a YouTube channel. It has a lot of good merit. But, like I said, we got to be ready, regardless, for that as well. Of course, it's happening in Los Angeles with the fires, which is really disheartening. Plus, a little earthquake occurred somewhere in Idaho, and there was some magma below that area around the Montana, Wyoming, Idaho area. Ooh, man. So very people may call it the end of the world, or whatever you want to view it. But sometimes you cannot mess with Mother Nature in the name of progress. So, it always has its cycles. Remember that. Mother Nature always has her cycles. So I'm going to go for a few things here. And I did post a thing called A Circle, which is from the ProPublica UK website. It was supposed to be make the Bilderbergs look like amateurs. So I posted on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. And thanks to Sibel Edmonds for sharing that on newsbuzz.com. If you haven't subscribed, do it. Newsbuzz.com is a subscription. You get all the information. You get stuff for executive, community, membership benefits. Alright, well, let's begin here. This is really interesting. A friend of mine posted this on Facebook, so I had to look it up a little more. And it actually was from John Rappaport from activistpost.com. And it says here, true, California City will pay gang members to remain peaceful. I like this little post here. Government, if you think the problems we create are bad, just wait until you see our solutions. That's a great photo from despair.com. I might just use that on my Spreaker page. So for this episode. So it says here, this isn't satire on ultra-liberal California. Fox News reported reports after a violent week of suspected gang-related shootings Tuesday. Sacramento City Council took action to reduce the bloodshed. It was a proved controversial program called Advanced Peace, which offers cash stipends to gang members who remain peaceful. The program targets key gang agitators, offering them stipends to graduate from school and remain peaceful, but the city will still have to pay half the cost of the program, $1.5 million out of the city's general fund. In other words, Sacramento, capital city of California, has surrendered. Investigations, arrests, prosecutions, and prison sentence won't cut it. Here's a scenario that comes to mind. A suburban teenager on the outskirts of the city shows up in his parents' living room one day with a tattoo of a grinning skull on his neck. Don't be upset, he said. I'm joining a gang. I'll still accept good grades in school, but when I graduate, the city will give me a cash prize. I can use the money to start my own tech firm in our garage. Well, this is piddling stuff. Let's go all the way to Governor Jerry Brown's office. Let's have a statewide advanced peace program. The state, which is already $500 billion in debt, when you add in unfunded future liabilities, could throw $1 billion into the pool. Over a period of, say, 5 years, the money would be doled out to gangs based on their performance. Subtract $250,000 for every gang killing in the state, $125,000 for every wounding, $10,000 for every property crime, $1,000 for every drug bust. Whatever is left over, the gangs is their gravy. Eventually, through negotiation, replace the California legislature and governor with gang members. Let them run things. I'm trying to be helpful. I see the direction policy is taking, and I want to give it a boost and quicken the pace. After all, when gang members end up taking over the state government, all gang crime would cease. It would be reclassified as government corruption. Pop the champagne corks, problem solved. I love the sarcasm, but you know what? I read the article and I was like totally dumbfounded. Really blew my mind. Let me see if I can grab that right now. I should have taken that originally, taken initiative for getting that originally. But the whole thing is this. This is pretty damn absurd. Still trying to figure that one out. But proves one thing in the city of Sacramento City Council. They're a bunch of wussies, cowards, pieces of garbage that will belly up in the name of their pathetic state. You know, this is how stupid these individuals are. Oh, I got it right here. Under Blue Lives Matter, I thank Shadia ZH for sharing this with us. And it actually came out yesterday. Yeah, I'm going to add that to the memo as well. So I'll just put that in there also. And it says here, the City of Sacramento Council unanimously to vote gang members $1.5 million to not kill people. It's from Blue Lives Matter. Interesting site. Of course, source Fox 40. The city set aside $1.5 million taxpayers' money to pay gang members to stop killing people. The City Council unanimously approved the Advanced Peace Program in an attempt to address their ongoing problem with violent crime, according to Fox News. The program gang members to graduate school will stop shooting people. If gang members want to start killing, they will be forfeiting their taxpayer-funded payday. Call it a bribe, right? The vote has been scheduled to take place in 2 weeks, but Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg requested that the vote move up after 5 people were shot in the park. 5 people were shot in Meadowview on Saturday. Sacramento Darrell Steinberg said, according to Fox 40, let's going on doing everything we can to save innocent lives. The funding for the payments to the gang members will come to the city's general fund. The money will go to 50 men who are suspected of killing people, but there's not enough evidence to prosecute them. 50 is a huge number. The 50 shooters who have the possibility of taking a life, Nicole Clavel said, according to KCRA, if we can reach those 50, how many lives we have changed? Oh man, this is really a total wet dream, isn't it? The Advanced Peace Program started in Richmond, California, has been credited by some with reducing murders in the city. Sacramento County District Attorney Anne Marie Sherberts disagrees. I support the Gang Prevention Task Force and the many evidence-based youth mentoring and intervention programs already in existence in the city of Sacramento. I have serious concern that the program that is apparently based upon the payment of money to high-risk individuals in exchange for a promise not to engage in violent criminal conduct. There's insufficient evidence-based data to show this approach is effective in preventing gun violence. Well, I'll say this to this council. I will support you on this, but violent crime is a big issue. When will the people of Sacramento stand up for what's right? It's their neighborhood, their community. We're going to let a bunch of gangsters run your lives? From totalitarianism, as far as I'm concerned, and the city's going to bend over and smile, pull the pants down for these folks? That's a dangerous message, my friends. Very treacherous. Why is that? What's going to be next? You think it's 100% guaranteed? Hell no. They thrive on this. They thrive on fear. And this is what this kind of representatives you want. A bunch of Uncle Toms and Aunt Jemamas is going to throw on the flag of surrender. One thing for sure, it will backfire in this particular city. Guarantee that. The folks in that city might have to defend their own communities, because the truth of the matter is, my friends, under sovereign immunity tort liability in California, public employees are not liable. So in other words, police aren't obligated to protect you as an individual. You have the first line of defense.
Oh, okay. I thought it said it comes with it. I thought it was on there. Yeah.
And they said, when they talk about firearm administration and all that, I'll tell them to hell with them. That violates their natural rights under the California Constitution, Article 1, Section 1. You can look it up. I'm not going to post that. That's what you want, Sacramento? They're going to send that message. Say, hey, we cater to the weak and the pathetic, but aren't you productive? That's a good saying. Now, enough of that. Next one here, from intelnews.org. It's interesting. It's going on. What's happening with the sonic attacks on U.S. Embassy in Cuba. More facts revealed about mystery sonic attacks on the U.S. Embassy in in Cuba. This is by Joseph Fitzanakis. All right. American officials have revealed more information about mysterious sonic device that is believed to have caused numerous diplomats to suffer hearing loss and other serious ailments. Last month, the Associated Press reported that the first hearing loss symptoms were reported by the personnel at the U.S. Embassy in Havana in the fall of 2016. News agencies said at least 5 embassy personnel reported suffering from sudden and unexplained loss of hearing. The symptoms were so serious that caused some American diplomats to cancel their tours early and return to the United States, according to the Associated Press. Now, new information has been disclosed by the United States Department of State. It suggests that although diplomats began reporting hearing loss symptoms as early as fall 2016, the incidents continued until mid-August of this year. In a report published on Saturday, the BBC said that the bizarre incident has not ended several months ago, as was initially believed. It said they continued even after the last week of May, when the U.S. deported 2 Cuban diplomats from Washington, D.C. The move was in a response to what Washington believes was a deliberate attempt to sabotage its diplomatic mission in Havana. The American embassy in the Cuban capital reopened in 2015, 54 years after it was closed down, and following a series of diplomatic rifts between Cuba and the U.S. during the height of the Cold War. Additionally, the State Department said on Friday that the number of American diplomats and other U.S. embassy personnel who have reported sonic-related symptoms has increased to 19. The State Department spokeswoman Heather Newert told reporters in Washington that doctors were still elevating the health of those serving at the U.S. Embassy in Havana. She added that the new cases of people suffering from sonic-related medical symptoms could not be ruled out. A report from the American Foreign Sovereign Association, who represents members of the United States Foreign Service, said on Friday that their representatives have spoken to 10 people who had received various treatments for ailments related to alleged sonic attacks in Cuba. It said that many suffered permanent hearing loss while others were diagnosed with mild brain injuries, according to media reports. Washington has concluded that the American diplomats were exposed to an advanced device that deployed either inside or outside their residence, but the Cuban government denied it that it had anything to do with the American diplomats' symptoms, and some believe that the alleged covert sonic device may have been deployed by an intelligence service of a third country, possibly Russia, without the knowledge of the Cuban authorities. Interesting little claim there. A lot of cloak and daggering going on there, my friends, and this is really sad to hear, because you see what's been going on with expulsion from both sides and this and that. And sometimes, I don't know, sometimes you gotta wonder why. All this cloak and daggering going on. And innocent people are getting hurt, but regardless. So sad, I would say. But, like I said, my friends, it's more cloak and daggering as usual. Hey, make sure they wish them the best. Alright, finally, I know this is going to be a short little episode, but that's okay. It's from the Palm Beach Post. West Palm eye doctor at center a trial that could change U.S. Senate is by Jane Musgrave. Came out yesterday, and on the Palm Beach Post. And it says here, who did this? Yeah, Jane Musgrave, okay. For months after Dr. Salman Malang was convicted of 67 counts of healthcare fraud in a trial that drew a little national attention, Palm Beach ophthalmologist will face a far different atmosphere this week, where he and his longtime pal, Democrat U.S. Senator Robert Menendez, fight corruption in a New Jersey courtroom. Already during jury selection that concluded August 23rd, news reporters complained that was not enough space was available to accommodate all who want to cover the trial, that some Democrats could further tip the balance of power in Congress. Yep, you hear the dog barking, that's okay. Further, while there was little love lost between prosecutors and defense attorneys in Maligan's $105 million healthcare case fraud trial in federal court West Palm Beach, exchanges in New Jersey have been particularly testy. A letter sent to U.S. District Judge William Walls late last week, attorneys representing Menendez and Maligan complained about a 30-page brief prosecutors filed, laying out the damning evidence that they will present to prove the senator and the doctor engaged in a mutually beneficial bribery scheme. The first 16 pages of this brief seems designed solely to generate adverse pretrial publicity for the defendants, giving the media a rhetorically florid preview of the prosecutor's opening arguments they wrote. The press release masqueraded as the court brief that was widely quoted by the media could have serious consequences, they claim. Although a jury of 6 men and 6 women plus 4 alternates had been selected, one of the jurors was later dismissed because serving during a month-long trial would be financially crippling. Before the trial gets underway Wednesday, it is likely dismissed jurors will be asked to return in hopes of finding a replacement when it's unnecessary presentation. But relevant to the actual legal issues in the brief of gratuitous filing make it harder to fill the remaining jury spot. Defense attorneys wrote, there is no doubt that many of the people remaining on the panel have read media accounts out of curiosity after being dismissed. Walls and who was appointed to the federal bench by President Bill Clinton in 1994, is unlikely to be swayed by the letter. His three-sentence response to a media lawyer who complained that the press wasn't being treated properly is typical of his approach. Walls dismissed concerns as off target. However, the pretrial attack on the prosecution and defense attorney's blistering response continues the tone that was established shortly after 63-year-old friends were indicted in April 2015. The defense attorneys have repeatedly blasted federal prosecutors, claiming there is nothing illegal or corrupt about friends helping each other, labeling the prosecution as a smear campaign. They have suggested the prosecution of Menendez, whose parents fled Cuba was pushed by the Cuban government. Prosecutors accounted that the evidence, including 460,000 pages of emails, financial records, letters, and other documents, is overwhelming. The Dominican-born Meglin, who ran wildly successful rental clinics in West Palm Beach, Wilmington, Delray, and Port St. Lucie, lavished Menendez with gifts and contributed $750,000 to his campaign, prosecutors claim. Menendez was a frequent flyer on the physician's private jet. He was a regular guest at Milligan's resort in the Dominican Republic. Milligan also paid for a 3-night stay for Menendez and his girlfriend at the Park Hyatt Hotel in Paris, where rooms go for $1,500 a night, prosecutors claim. In return, Menendez lobbied federal agents to get 3 of Milligan's foreign-born girlfriends into the country, they said. The powerful senator also tried to get the State Department to intervene in Milligan's dispute with Dominican leaders on the over-the-eyes doctor multi-million-dollar port contract with the island nation. Most importantly, Menendez repeatedly intervened in the eye doctor's long-running and ultimately failed dispute with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, prosecutors said. The dispute centers on Milligan's practice of using one vial of the drug test as made for patients for macular degeneration, a practice known as multi-dosing. Interesting there, huh? In August 2012, prosecutors claim Menendez met with Senator Harry Reid, chair of a key committee, and then HHS Secretary Kathleen Sebelius to push them to overrule an administrative decision, forcing Milligan to repay the agency roughly $9 million for the practice they refused. Milligan's habit of multi-dosing figured prominently in his trial of healthcare and fraud charges as well. Some of the nation's top anthropologists also blasted him, claiming he administered painful and unnecessary tests to elderly people after falsely diagnosed them with wet macular degeneration, a disease that caused blindness. In their brief, prosecutors said they won't tell the New Jersey jury about Milligan's conviction and looming sentence to 30 years to life. That would change if he chooses to testify, they said. When Milligan's attorney in August agreed to delay his sentencing until after the New Jersey trial, there was much speculation that Milligan was cooperating with prosecutors who are pursuing Menendez to win a more lenient sentence on the healthcare fraud charges. So there has been no evidence of that. The prospect armed Democrats who worry about Menendez's conviction will give the New Jersey Governor Christie, a Republican, a chance to put another member of his party in the U.S. Senate. Menendez's powerful job already has surfaced as a stumbling block. His attorneys asked if the trial scheduled to be altered so Menendez can be present in Washington when key notes are taken on such issues as lifting the nation's debt ceiling. Good grief. Walter Menendez chose to skip the trial, but he said the testimony will continue. Defense attorneys have said that the prosecution has a difficult task. The prosecutors have to prove there was a quid pro quo, that Menendez lobbied on Milligan's behalf in exchange for expensive gifts, and the doctors doled out the gifts to harness his friend's political muscle. But they acknowledge Menendez could have an Achilles heel. He is charged with making false statements for not reporting gifts on mandatory financial disclosure forms that attorneys have said could be difficult to beat. Milligan is represented by Matthew Minchell and Kirk Agroski, same attorneys who represent him in the healthcare case fraud case. Menendez is represented by a bank of attorneys, including Abel Lau, who has represented several high-profile politicians and criminal charges, including the Democratic presidential candidate John Edwards. A jury in 2011 failed to reach a verdict on 5 charges of campaign fraud Edwards faced and acquitted him on the 6th. Failed to reach a verdict, right, and acquitted him on the 6th. Prosecutors ultimately dropped the case, but there is an incriminating trial of belief. Prosecutors contend that the case Menendez and Milligan won't suffer a similar fate. Being friends isn't defense against bribery, they claim. Indeed, as a genuine friendship may underlie a business arrangement, it should come as no surprise that friendship may be very well from the former foundation of a corrupt endeavor, they wrote. Interesting, so, on this case. And this is why what's funny about this, believe it or not. The 17th Amendment got passed around think 1917, I believe, the U.S. Constitution ratified that, and that the people could vote on their Senate, which is a total farce in my personal view. I think it was 1913. I believe that's one of those things, and it is really, that's what a lot of stuff is really skeptic. And to me, to be very honest, I was never really crazy about the 17th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, because what it does, it brings more for the people, like more centralized instead of being ambassadors of the state. Before this, it says here, the 17th Amendment. The Senate of the United States shall be composed of two senators in each state, which that's traditional. Elected by the people thereof for 6 years, each senator shall have one vote. Electors in each state shall have qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislators. When a vacancy happens in the representation of any state in the Senate, the executive authority of such states shall writ of elections to fill such vacancies, provide that the legislature of any state may empower the executive thereof to make temporary appointments until the people fill the vacancies by election as the legislature may direct. Amendments shall not be construed to affect the election on any term. Any senator chosen becomes a valid part of the Constitution. What's interesting about that is more voted by the people, not appointed by the states. Because before the 17th Amendment, it was considered, the bastards of the state. And what's interesting about that, because during that time, you can instantaneously is that they could do a recall and actually grilling them if they do something unconstitutional or not the state's best interest. That's one thing. So that's one thing you have to really look at. So that's, for me, I do support on repealing the 17th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. That they can appoint, we can still put their feet to the fire. And I tell you what, they may not be perfect, but be a hell of a lot better. Bring back on the states' rights. Remember, that's what we call it, the United States, not the centralized states. And to be honest, that is really it. I thank everyone for listening. But feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or something that's interesting you may want to check out, whatever you do, please address your correspondence with decorum. You get me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com, FutureNet.club, or Patreon.com/LuckyLucky3 with 3 eyes. If you want to be a patron, donor, all that, that'd be fantastic. In addition, you can email me at LuckyLuck3@gmail.com or LuckyLuck03@protonmail.com. Ooh, okay, my friends, that's just short and sweet. I thank everyone for listening. And always remember that the Maniac Resistance Helping to the Soul can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.